Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at secondary guns and what is the right secondary gun for the right occasion. So it doesn't take a genius to tell you that 2.9 inches with a plus 10 barrel is incredibly good, but at some point it becomes obsolete because the enemy's torpedo range just basically outranges your 2.9 inch capabilities. So what we're going to take a look at here is 1915. So I don't know the exact year, but around about 1915 is when the enemy's torpedoes, fast torpedoes that is, extend to about 4 to 5 kilometers. So we're going to take a look and see in this time period what is the best secondary gun to use. So I've designed an enemy destroyer, a torpedo boat obviously, and its torpedo range is 4.8 kilometers with fast torpedoes, so that's quite a big distance. So around about this period they start to get almost 5 kilometer range on the fast torpedoes. So what we're going to do, there's obviously lots of different factors involved, and I'm going to try and portray each different factor to show different scenarios, but what we're doing at the moment is just one battleship against a group of destroyers, and all we're going to use is the 2.9 inches. So we're going to disable the 12 inches so they don't muddy the waters. And first of all, we're going to try HE rounds, and we're going to see at what range the HE rounds start to penetrate the enemy ships. So we're spotting them around 9 kilometers, and we're not in range. Unfortunately, there's a range bug in the game, where although it tells you you've got a 9.9 kilometer range, you actually haven't. Up here it'll tell you the actual range, which is unfortunately it's showing me the 12.9 inch range, so we're not going to be able to find out. But as you saw, we didn't start shooting when they were in range. So the first thing we want to know is, at what range do we penetrate with HE rounds? Unfortunately, we're locked onto a ship that's behind us at the moment, so I'm just going to change to one to the side. So we're not penetrating there. Still not penetrating. Still not penetrating, and there we go. So we got our first penetration at around about 2.3 kilometers, which obviously is not ideal. So let's try this again, but with AP rounds. So our actual range is about 7.2 kilometers, not 9.5, which it says on there. Hopefully they fix that in the new patch that's coming up, but you never know. So we're not penetrating at the moment. We've just got a penetration there. So about 5 kilometers we're getting penetrations, which is double the range of what the HE were. So if you're going to use 2.9, you're going to have to use AP rounds. And AP rounds have got slightly less damage. It's not as bad as I thought, actually. I thought it'd be considerably worse than that. Okay, so we'll carry on. Our primary concern here is obviously dodging torpedoes. So we're not going to pay attention to the numbers, or I'm not anyway, at the moment. I'm just going to try and dodge as many torpedoes as I can, and then at the end of the test we'll have a look to see how many shots we've landed and how much damage we've done per shot. So a penetrating shot there only did 250 damage, and an overpen did 130, so that's going to require a ridiculous amount of shots to actually sink. Oh, flash fire already. Shocking. Right. Let's restart this, because getting a flash fire that early on is not ideal. So ideally what I'm going to want to do is when they get within 2.3 kilometer range is switch to HE, but that's going to be too difficult for me to micromanage while trying to dodge torpedoes, so I'm just going to leave it on auto for now. Well, we did 500 damage in that penetrating shot, which was quite a lot more than the 230 we did in the last. He's firing torpedoes already. Okay, so when we do eventually sink a ship, what I'm going to do is have a look to see how many shots it took to sink him. So the reason it's going to be quite difficult to tell what the best secondary gun is when you're using one ship like I am now, it's easy to micromanage dodging torpedoes, but most of the time you're going to be using a lot of different ships, and so the best secondary gun to use is going to be different when you're using a fleet than it is to when you're using an individual ship, because you're not going to want to let them get within 2 kilometer range of your fleet if you're using a fleet, where with a single ship it doesn't matter quite so much because you can micromanage dodging. And the other reason it's going to be difficult to tell is when the AI's controlling the ships. Sometimes they come in for torpedo attacks, and sometimes, like now, they decide to just hang around outside of torpedo range for no apparent reason whatsoever. I've done this test a few times, once for each caliber secondary gun, and half of the times they all came in and torpedoed me with virtually all the torpedoes immediately, and the other half of the time they hung around outside of torpedo range like they are doing now. So it's not easy to tell or to test when the AI's behaviour is so random. So I'm just going to carry on until I sink a single ship. Unfortunately, because the ship that I'm firing at is far away, the damage that we're doing is going to be considerably worse. But as you can see, with the 2.9 inches, you don't do much damage. You've got to let them get quite close to get penetrating shots. And it takes quite a long time to actually sink ships. So we've done 83 shots landed, and we've only done 20k damage, so 250, well 210 damage per shot on average. So I think that'll do for this one. So what we're going to do, rebuild the ship. Gonna swap out these 2.9 inches and we're gonna put 3.9 inches on. So we're gonna once again try with HE rounds. See what range we can penetrate with HE rounds. The damage isn't actually that much because of the shells that I'm using. I'm using semi-AP, and base HE. So unfortunately we're struggling to get any hits in. Well, 3.5 kilometers we got some penetrating shots, but even now we're getting quite a few that aren't. But we have got almost 2,000 damage on a penetrating shot there, which is obviously considerably higher than the 500 damage that we got with the 2-incher. So we've actually managed to sink a ship with the 3-incher, which we didn't do with the 2-incher. It might be because he remained in range a lot more, for a lot longer. or it might be because some of the shots are doing 2000 damage. Probably a combination of the two. Right then. He's still got some torpedoes to fire. Just about managed to thread the needle. So what are we looking at? 40 hits, 14k. So that's still not very high amounts of damage, even though a few shots that we've landed has done a considerable amount of damage. The majority, the average, is not doing that much. Unfortunately, while I was looking at that, I've messed up dodging torpedoes here. But I think that'll do for this test. So it's 40 and 14, which is around about 280 to 300 damage. So yeah, you get some bigger hits, but the average is still quite low. So, oops, wrong one. So now we're going to try 4-incher. So the average was 210 for the 2.9, and then 230 for the 3.9. And the 3.9 was able to penetrate a lot further away than the 2.9 was. So I'd say at the moment the 3.9 is better than the 2.9 when the enemy have got 5 kilometer range torpedoes. So now we're going to try the 4.9. Okay, so the HE rounds are still not getting penetrating shots until they're really close, so we're going to have to remain using AP rounds for now. So I'll just leave it on auto. Now, one major factor is obviously the mark. A Mark IV gun is always better than a Mark III gun of a higher caliber, up to a certain point. But we're getting huge damage at 6 kilometers with the 4.9. So straight away we can see the 4.9 is better than the 3 and the 2 in this era. Unfortunately, I don't think I've timed the dodge. Oh, I might have done. Yeah, we've done it. So if you're wondering, I'm not using any maneuverability mods. So I've got no steering, engine or rudder upgrades, and we're still able to dodge the majority of the torpedoes even without any of them. And that's just because we've got the shortest displacement available with minimum beam and draft, which makes it so your ship is highly maneuverable. It also makes it incredibly cheap. So yeah, 4.9 inches have been fantastic. So we've done 25k damage on 34 shots. So I believe that's around about 750 damage a shot, around about that. For some reason he stopped firing. Don't know whether it's because the percentage is too low. So yeah, I think this shows that the 4.9 is considerably better than the 2 and the 3. So let's try 5-inch it. So let's try HE first to see what range we can get HE rounds to penetrate. So as we can see, the HE rounds are still not penetrating until they're really close. So let's go back on and put it on auto. So obviously you can reduce this down to cruising speed, but just while I'm testing, I don't want to put any outside factors in. So the reloading is now becoming a factor, the rate of fire. So in a 1v1 battle like it is now, well not 1v1, but when I'm only using one ship, I think the 4-incher is probably the best all-round gun when you factor in the rate of fire as well as the damage done and the range that it can penetrate. That's a lot of damage, 4,000 damage on a single shot. Just one shot that, so that is the one thing that this gun does have an advantage over the 4-incher is it is actually capable of one-shotting destroyers. Okay, now the enemy are just staying out of range, there's no point in carrying this on. So in a 1v1 setting, or when you're just using one ship, I still think that the 4-incher is the best gun that we've tried so far. So let's try the 6-incher next. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to do some rotating here, I reckon. God damn it. Unfortunately, my mouse is so sensitive that trying to click the mouse button and not. There we go. Use. Oh dear. Okay. So try the 6-incher now. So once again, we'll see what range we can get the HE to land penetrating shots. So he's landed a penetrating shot at around 5 kilometers, and it might have been able to do it a little bit further out if he would have actually landed a shot. But I reckon it's around about 5 kilometers, which is just outside of his torpedo range, which is nice. But obviously in a fleet battle, you don't want to be that close to torpedo range to be able to land penetrating shots, so you probably would have to stick to AP until they get really close. Okay, so we've got torpedoes coming in from a couple of different directions here, so we're gonna struggle. Just about. Just about. Right, so if we have a look at the damage now, we've actually done more than 1,000 damage per shot. So as we can see, now with 6.9 inches we're actually able to sink the ships rather than just damage them a little bit when we land shots. So I reckon in a fleet battle we're going to need to use 6.9 inches and higher rather than the 4.9 inches, because they had to get rather close to us with 4.9 inches for us to be able to actually sink them. He hasn't actually got any torpedoes left. I don't know why he's sailing so close. So yeah, as we can see there, the damage increase has gone up considerably with 6.9 inches. So let's try the 7. Here we go again. Okay, we're just going to have to drop a bit of weight to test this. Perfect. So, once again, let's have a look to see with HE rounds what range we can penetrate them. Okay, so if we have a look here now, we're not getting locking on status. Now, I believe this is because their speed and agility is outperforming our turret traversal. Now, I don't know whether that's a fact or if there's something else going on, if it's a bug. But every time I've tried this, say every time, I tried it twice, I wasn't getting aimed status when they were a certain distance away. So let's see. So it's really struggling to get aimed status with the 7.9 incher against the destroyer. So it's possible that 6.9 inches is going to be the best or a better choice than a 7.9 incher when fighting at long range. That's a lot of torpedoes. As you can see, the behaviour of the enemies is so different depending on, well, not dependent on anything. Each time you play the game, sometimes they come in like this and fire a million torpedoes at you. Other times, look at this, it's exactly the same ship that I'm facing. And this time I'm having to dodge a billion torpedoes compared to before, it was just a handful at a time. I think I've done pretty well though. Right, so it's looking like 7.9 incher might be a little bit too big for facing destroyers. So I reckon the 6.9 incher and the 4.9 incher are the two that perform the best. The 5 probably would have done a decent job too. So between 4 and 6. So what we're going to do is now we're going to do like a fleet battle. And we're going to repeat the test, but in a fleet scenario. So what we'll find obviously now is, because we've got so many more ships firing, we're going to land a lot more shots. The rate of fire isn't going to be such a big deal. So I need to turn everyone's main guns off. And I'm just going to leave them on auto, I reckon. So as we can see, we're not locking on with the 7.9 incher at range. Now, I have no idea if that is a valid reason for that happening or not, but that tells me that the 7.9 incher is too big to fight destroyers. So let's try again with the 6.9 incher. Oh, here we go again. That's too close. Okay, 6.9 incher this time. So turn everybody's main guns off. Just going to leave it on auto. Well, they're really struggling to land shots, probably because they all hadn't formed up in time. So I think what I'm going to do just increase the range, just to give my ships a little bit longer time to actually form into some sort of a battle line. So it's looking like they're using AP rounds when they should be using HE. Unfortunately, the auto change of the ammo is not great. So, with all of these torpedoes firing in at us, it's going to be incredibly difficult to actually dodge them all with a fleet, which is why I'm not even bothering trying. So we're just going to see how we get on without actually dodging any. So it's looking to me like the rate of fire just isn't quite good enough with the 6.9 incher. Even when we've got quite a few ships, it's still not high enough to take them out in any semblance of speed. Now, as you can see, I'm not targeting specifically any ships. I'm just letting the auto target take over because I don't want player input to play into it at all. But I'd say that the rate of fire just isn't quite there with this caliber gun. So let's try the 5-incher. So the 5-incher seems to be pretty capable of sinking them. Unfortunately, we're a lot closer in this battle than we were in the last one. So we're going to get hit with a lot more torpedoes. Yeah, we're just getting slaughtered. Let's try again. Hopefully we don't sail quite so close to them next time. Right, they're north. Yeah, the AI behaviour definitely is going to make it difficult to determine what the best caliber gun is, because sometimes they sail in at you and sometimes they don't. Yeah, the auto-targeting's not particularly fantastic either, choosing to shoot at this ship that was over here when this ship was right next to him. But I'd still say that this 5-incher has performed better than the 6-incher did. So yeah, I think that'll do for this one. Let's try the 4-incher next. I've accidentally pressed restart battle instead of rebuild ship. So the 4-incher's doing a pretty damn fine job of sinking them. I don't know why he's choosing to shoot all the way over here when he's got a ship right there. So I'd say that the 4-incher and the 5-incher both did a pretty decent job. So out of the 3 that we've tried in the fleet action, it's between them 2. The 6-incher just didn't shoot fast enough. Okay, so let's try the 3-incher this time. Well, we've landed 84 shots and we've only actually sunk 2 of them so far, so it's looking like this 3 inches just not powerful enough to sink them quickly. Yeah, I just don't think that the 3 inches got the punching power to actually deal with the enemy ships. You've got to land far too many shots just to sink one. So yeah, either 4-incher or 5-incher it seems like is the best choice. But we'll try out the 2-incher just for the sake of it. So it's not going to be able to actually land any shots until they're about 7.5 kilometers away, despite the gun range saying almost 10 kilometers. Rather amusing that these haven't come in and ambushed me like in all the previous battles. Oh dear. You can always rely on the AI behaviour to screw your tests over. Well, it took around about 50 shots to sink that destroyer, and another 50 shots to sink the second one. So that's not ideal. Yeah, as you can see, we're just not sinking them fast enough and from far enough away. So 2 inches are just simply nowhere near good enough at this point. Yeah, 160 shots, 175 shots to sink 3 ships. It's just simply not good enough. So, the conclusion, in my opinion, is approximately now, this isn't a rule of thumb, but approximately, every 7 years, the minimum gun caliber needs to be increased by 1 inch. So in 1890 up to 1897 you can use the 2 inches, and then 1897 up to 1904 use 3 inches, then 1904 to 1911 use 4 inches, then 1911 to 1918 use the 5 inches, and then 1918 to 1925 use 6 inches, 25 to 32 use 7 inches, and then 32 onwards I think the minimum caliber that you need is 8 inches. I'm talking about battleships now obviously, but I still think that that general rule is probably going to apply to all of your ships, because you're not going to want to get super close to the enemy's destroyers if you can help it. So that is the conclusion that I draw from this test. Every 7 years, increase the minimum caliber of gun that you're using by 1 inch. So yeah, I hope this has been interesting, helpful. I don't know what you'd class it as, but I don't think entertaining would be the word. But yeah, I hope you've gained some insight from it anyway. So cheers for watching guys, take care, I'll see you soon.